Kaczynski?
By Ted Kaczynski himself. I had no idea you were on the line.
From the Supermax prison in Colorado.
Yes, it's good to be here, and I gotta say, I went to the commissary, and I said, do you have the trident that I ordered? And they said no, and I will have my revenge!
I agree with you, Ted. You got to have nice smelling breath when you're in prison, so when you're violently accosted in the showers, everyone also has a good time.
It seems my natural spoiled milk smell seems to keep the men from me.
Really? So you've actually this is kind of interesting. Like like a skunk?
Yeah.
Or other animals that exude toxins and smells that are so unlikable that someone won't even kill them.
But Ben, doesn't a skunk also deserve some love?
I agree.
From
Doesn't
other
a
skunks.
skunk deserve a wife? A skunk wife? Well, I guess I'll just have to go through with this stinky old pillow of mine I've been rubbing my dookies on so it can smell like me.
You've been rubbing your dookies on your prison pillow. Yeah. Well, Ted, you're a brilliant mind, and I'm sure all the mathematical equations that you've written in Dookie on the walls completely make sense. And you're like Goodwill Hunting. Speaking of Mr. Robin Williams, what's the fella that Matt Damon played? Whatever his name is, Will, I guess.
I have to definitely say that's the first time I've heard that comparison.
All right, let's continue on. Ted Kaczynski.
Man, I spent a while reading his manifesto this morning.
Yeah.
What a fucking crybaby nerd.
They always are. He's like a BTK type.
He's got a couple of good points. We're going to get into
Okay.
I'm fine with the philosophy.
The philosophy's good. I enjoyed the philosophy quite a bit.
Except for that he gets a
times.
little racist.
Well,
Up top.
I mean, Anders Breivik did copy and paste very large sections of the Unabomber manifesto after he killed those 77 kids, except he replaced the term leftist with multiculturalists and also cultural Marxists.
And as we discussed before, Andrew Breivik, he now is in an Oslo prison, and he has paid friends because they don't want him to get sad. I'm sure Mr. Kaczynski. Ted, as a matter of fact, do you have any paid friends in prison? Is anybody hanging out with you at all, or?
Let's just say I'm difficult to be around. What I've done is I'm getting really good at toilet wine. So
You're making your own fine vintage, huh?
if people want to come by old Kaczynski's place, I got a whole bunch of Merlot that's been stewing around in my butt sink. No one will come.
The toilet is now called a butt sink from here on out.
No one will come and hang out with me.
So Kaczynski just got nicknamed the Unabomber, the Universities and Airlines Bomber.
Yes.
Where was the first university bomber?
The first one was at Santa Barbara, I believe.
And then
Santa
American
Barbara's
Airlines.
beautiful this time of year, too. It's so nice up there.
Hell, Henry, you can just hop in a car and head on up there.
I couldn't I? Or a trolley. Or a bus. Oh, man, California's beautiful.
Stay right where you are so you have an alibi for this evening. I think you're dangerous when you're isolated and lonely in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking at a video view right now, and I can see the sun shining in through the window, and even the sun is depressing in Los Angeles.
You know why? Because it doesn't fucking stop.
It
It's
works
like
too
God
hard.
is always looking for your secrets. The sun gets in your crevices.
Well, what happens in the dark of New York will be shown in the lights of L.A.
I will have my revenge.
Yes, you will. All right, let's get Unabomber.
Unabomber. So, when we left off, Ted Kaczynski, he had just made the headlines for the very first time by bombing American Airlines Flight 444. Was not done with the airline industry just yet. He's one thing that we'll start seeing now that he's starting to, like, I guess, get into his groove. There are going to be very long stretches in between attacks with Ted Kaczynski. There's going to be stretches.
Apparently, he was taking a lot of downtime to work on his ribbon dancing for the Olympics.
I heard that.
When he was working on his ribbon dancing technique, again, he went to the qualifying rounds to one of the specific breaks, and he didn't get it because he smelled like dog shit, and they said that would ruin the Olympic Village. And again, another reason Ted Kaczynski was looking for revenge.
Is it true that he shoved the ribbon up his own butthole and tried to lit it on fire, and lit it on fire, and then he called himself the first human bomb?
Yeah, yes. He also went by the this big stinky yo-yo.
Well, he was not done with the airlines. 2 years later, after American Airlines 444, in June of 1980, he sent a letter in a book to the president of United Airlines, Mr. Percy Wood, and the note that he sent along with it, he said, "Dear Mr. Wood, I am sending copies of Ice Brothers by Sloan Wilson to a number
Sounds like a Wayans Brothers snow comedy.
to a number of prominent people in the Chicago area because I believe this book should be read by all who make important decisions affecting the public welfare."
So he's just an uncle. He's just a bad uncle, but he has no nephews or nieces to spread out his cool books that he thinks will educate them.
Smelly Oprah.
A smelly Oprah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
So what actually was inside the book was a ingenious little bomb. When you opened up the book exploded. Tiny metal and wooden fragments exploded in this guy's face. He had damage to his hands, his face, in his thigh. There was a huge chunk of metal lodged right in there.
This reminds me of those talking cards that Hallmark sells now. When you open it and it's like over the hill and it's like a big fat chick on a beach, and then it just, you open it up and she's like, "Happy birthday, you old bitch, you old bastard, your balls are all wrinkly and strange. Happy birthday, yeah."
It's my birthday. What's watching me with these cards?
So he was just experimenting with that, but his birthday gift was a bomb.
A big bomb.
But technically, a lot of these bombs that Ted Kaczynski set out just kind of sound like Looney Tunes pranks.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be a lot of Looney Tunes pranks coming up here pretty soon. He was definitely a prankster. Well, this is the point when Postal Inspector Tony Muljot...
Bad name.
So, I think I want to go into medicine. What's your last name? Mulgot? You're gonna be more postal.
You're a mailman. That's a mailman's name.
And interesting fact about Tony Muljot, there was a biopic made of him for the USA Network in 1996 in which Muljot was portrayed by Dean Stockwell.
Really?
I love Dean Stockwell.
Yes, of Blue Velvet, Quantum Leap, Battlestar Galactica.
There is no
Handsome
doubt,
guy, cool actor.
no doubt in my mind, now knowing that piece of information, 1995 USA Network, the only reason that network stayed on air is because of Lorenzo Lamas. That show was the only show that mattered.
Silk Stocking.
Renegade.
He was tortured into being handsome. We know this story.
Yeah.
So Tony Muljot, he was the one that started putting a lot of the wood clues together. He noticed that in all of these bombings there was always wood involved. There was wood pieces, there was a wooden box. In this bombing, the letter was addressed to Mr. Wood. The publisher of the book was Arbor House, whose logo was also a leaf. The phony return address was Ravenswood Street.
Cool.
And so he did have a sense of humor.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, it does sound like all like locations from like a Fear Street novel. You know what I mean?
Ravenswood Street.
Ravenswood Street, where the babysitters are terrified.
So this is also when he starts putting his own little signature on all of the bombs. They found two initials punched onto the bomb, FC.
Okay.
And they found out later that FC stood for Freedom Club.
It is kind of fun.
But in order for it to be a club, there has to be more than one person in a
This
shell.
is how sad and lonely Ted Kaczynski
Yeah.
was. Even the manifesto was from the point of view of a group. He had
Right.
to make up his own. He said he wanted to be a hermit, but no, he wanted friends.
Yeah.
He wanted to have like a Winnie the Pooh type scenario with a bunch of friends,
Right.
and he was Piglet, and he had a funny bouncy tiger friend, and a soft bear friend, and a little boy friend, and he couldn't get it together. And speaking of the wood used in this whole process, like once Muljot, once he figured out like the wood being used, where they started like kind of like pinging out like, well, one thing that we now know about him is that he is a woodworker. Like obviously he's got some kind of woodworking skill, and apparently a lot of it was honed because he had a pen pal in Mexico. Did you read about this?
No.
Where he had